Relevant, locally owned, locally programmed. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620, WTMJ Milwaukee.
It's 10 o'clock and 43 degrees. Expect partly cloudy skies today. It's breezy and cool. We have a high of 50. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Jessica Ty. It is day 23 of the government shutdown, and lawmakers are not any closer to getting legislation passed that would fund the government and reopen it. The Senate voted again on the same two bills they rejected before, and they rejected them again. The shutdown is starting to impact federal workers and military families whose paychecks are delayed. ABC's Jay O'Brien has your update.
The Pentagon diverted money in its budget to prevent military families from missing their paychecks earlier this month. But as their next payday approaches, it's unclear if they will get paid this time. This as 42 million low-income Americans relying on the federal food assistance program SNAP are now bracing for benefits to run out in just days.
Here in Wisconsin, officials continue to warn about the impact in our state's food share program.
The program is 100% federally funded and provides food assistance to 700,000 Wisconsinites. But Governor Tony Evers says funding will come to a halt in the coming days.
The federal government needs to develop immediate solutions to prevent Wisconsin's kids, families, seniors, veterans, and so many others from losing access to basic necessities like food and groceries.
The program remains fully funded through the end of October. Neil Doyle, WTMJ News.
The FBI just arrested 22 people in southeastern Wisconsin in a massive gang takedown.
The FBI Milwaukee office says the multi-year investigation targeted street gangs operating in Racine and Milwaukee, with ties to what agents say is an international cartel. The investigation has led to the seizure of cocaine, fentanyl, marijuana, and methamphetamines. 23 firearms and 3 vehicles have also been confiscated. All 22 suspects face federal charges. Sean Brenda, WTMJ News.
Some big names in the NBA are under arrest this morning in connection with 2 gambling investigations.
Law enforcement sources say those arrested include at least one active coach. Portland's Chauncey Billups, allegedly involved in a high-stakes poker operation. One active NBA player.
Three-pointer, Terry Rozier.
Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier was arrested here in Orlando this morning. The Heat played the Magic last night. ESPN reports sports betting operations in several states flagged suspicious betting interest on Rozier's statistics ahead of a Charlotte-New Orleans game back in 2023. Rozier played just 10 minutes for the Hornets that night. Peter King, CBS News, Orlando.
OpenAI and Oracle plan to operate together out of the Port Washington Data Center. The announcement is part of OpenAI's Project Stargate, which plans to build multiple data centers across the country. President of the Metropolitan Milwaukee Association of Commerce, Dale Koinga, explains how the data center will be used beyond ChatGPT.
These are the type of supercomputers that will make personalized medicine customized for your genomes, for your diet, for your atmosphere, for your activity.
Port Washington is currently one of 2 Project Stargate locations being built in the country. Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Good news right now, everything is in the green. Everything is up. The Dow is up nearly 17 points to 46,607. S&P 500 is up 22 points to 6,721. And the NASDAQ is up 143 points to 22,883. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth. Annex Private Client. Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 10:04.
Amish outdoor furniture with poly and wood available. And that poly is the richest of outdoor furniture. It's just about indestructible and will virtually last forever. At Erickson's, we have poly furniture in abundance, so you're guaranteed to see a great selection. The beauty of it is you can put it outside all year round and not worry about it, because the color runs all the way through, so it doesn't fade, and minor nicks and scratches won't hurt the look. Erickson's Landscape Supply. For an abundant selection of poly and wood Amish outdoor furniture, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. You'll be hard-pressed to find a better selection of metal yard art than we have here at Erickson's. Anything from natural and painted metal signs to painted roosters from 1 to 6 feet tall. Natural steel flying ducks and cattails. Cute little frogs, geckos, pigs, flamingos, and goats. And palm trees. The list is endless. And that's why you come here. Erickson's Landscape Supply, right on Spring Street in Union Grove, where you'll find a fantastic array of artisanal metal yard art. Visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. Or better yet, drive on over and take a gander at the goods.
Hey fellas, are you feeling off of your game? If you feel like something is holding you back, connect with the medical professionals at Game Day Men's Health. WTMJ's Greg Matzik here. Game Day Men's Health helps guys regain their youthful edge with hormone replacement, vitamin therapy, personalized weight loss plans, plus EPAT therapy, which I've used for injuries such as plantar fasciitis or tennis elbow. And it's all under the care of experienced medical professionals. A free consultation at their clinic in Brookfield, Shorewood, Germantown, or Delafield. Game Day Men's Health. Get back in the game.
Picture this. You're halfway through a DIY car fix and boom, you're missing a part. It's okay because whatever it is, it's on eBay. And it's guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
Shop smarter with Higher Love Cannabis Company in Menominee, Michigan, just a few seconds across the Wisconsin border. Award-winning, organically grown, quality products you can trust. Don't settle for knockoffs in Wisconsin. Get the real deal at findhigherlove.com/CBD.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers insists Sunday's game against the Packers is not a revenge game.
I don't have any animosity toward the organization. Obviously, I wish that, things have been better in our last year there, but, I have a great relationship with a lot of people still in that organization.
The Packers are 3.5-point favorites. Packers wide receiver Christian Watson continues to practice in a limited capacity. The team has until 3 Sunday afternoon to place Watson on the active roster. Giannis Antetokounmpo scored a game-high 37 points in the Bucks' opening night win over the Washington Wizards. Final score 133-120. Starting point guard Kevin Porter Jr. left the game in the first half with a sprained ankle. An MRI today will determine the severity of that injury. The Bucks now travel to Toronto to face the Raptors tomorrow night. Checking out the roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. We're doing pretty good. No crashes to let you know about. We do have a handful of disabled vehicles out on the system, including one on 4394 North at Beecher. The right shoulder is blocked due to a car that's broken down there. I just took a peek at the cameras for you. Looks like the guy has the hood popped up, trying to figure out what's going on with that one. We also still have out in Waukesha County, and I wasn't even going to tell you this one because I thought it's been sitting out there since yesterday. I've been tracking this one. There's a disabled truck on the exit to Wisconsin 164 County J from 94 West. But I wanted to see what was going on, and sure enough, there's an emergency responder out there again. So we do have this big truck that's out there. It's hauling something. It's been broken down since yesterday, but for whatever reason, there is an emergency responder out there right now, so traffic's kind of just moving slowly around it. That's on the exit to Wisconsin 164 County J from I-94 West. And here's the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Partly cloudy, breezy, and cool today. We have a high of 50. Skies will clear tonight, but pay attention to this. A widespread frost freeze warning goes into effect at 2 a.m. for all of southeastern Wisconsin. So if you have plants out there, bring them in if you want to keep them. I know I need to pull my peppers in. Temps are going to dip down to 35 near the lake, but 29 inland. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 52. Saturday, partly cloudy, high of 55. Sunday, partly cloudy, high of 56. Monday, we have a slight chance for rain, mostly cloudy otherwise, and a high of 56. It's currently 43 degrees in Port Washington, 42 in Racine, and 43 right here in downtown Milwaukee. I'm Jessica Ty. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 10:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Kristen Bry.
Good morning, Wisconsin. I haven't said that in a while. Kristen Bry is off today. She'll be back tomorrow along with Bill McCoshen and Joe Zapecki for our regular Friday dust-up of all things politics. I was thinking about this. I was talking to producer Jazz this morning before the show, and I said to her, it's like, sometimes it feels like you're in like this nightmarish dream, at least when you look in the context of how politics are unfolding in front of us. If you would ask me, I don't know, a year or so ago, if they're going to knock down the entire East Wing of the White House, I said, what are you, serious? But here we are. That's getting knocked down, and that story evolves every day. And it's interesting just to hear the takes on it because I've been real big on this sort of new litmus test for political stories because I think we're being dishonest with ourselves when we analyze or talk about politics. And I always phrase this in this way now. If the other side, whatever the other side is for you, if you're a Republican, be Democrats, Republicans, if they were doing this, would you complain about it? And if the answer is yes, then we probably shouldn't be doing what we're doing. But again, this is how politics has unfolded in our country because of hyperpartisanship, squawk radio, all the things, all the the crazy panel shows on our network channels now where they endlessly argue and chew over things. And oh, by the way, we have a Congress who, well, at least in the House's case, hasn't voted since September 19th of this year. Haven't really been in session for a month. Aren't even swearing in their newest member, who was elected, I think, a month ago, because it's not politically convenient. Sort of an interesting time in our country. So I thought as we sort of approach the first hour today, I have a lot of respect for my guest, Rick Essenberg, the president of the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. Because as much as people like to throw the term conservative around, other, whatever political terminology you want to use to describe someone who's on the right, Rick's an actual conservative, not a blowhard conservative, not a populist, not a whatever terminology you want to use. He's an actual conservative who believes in conservative things like small government, like government staying out of our lives, which is sort of the reason I'm a Republican. I don't really call myself a conservative anymore because whatever this new version of conservatism is, I don't want any part of it. It's dumbed us down, so much so that as we look back to 2020, the aftermath of the election, actual elected leaders said we should have an election do-over. Remember that? Actual elected leaders said, oh, it's okay if the tourists beat up on our Capitol Police, or it's okay not to talk about that. But I refuse to give into that nonsense, and I refuse to pretend that these things didn't happen, and I refuse to acknowledge people who pretend to be conservative, pretend to be Republicans for that matter, every day in our lives. So Rick and I are going to chat for about 45 minutes on a lot of topics. President's request to be reimbursed for $230 million for his legal woes. Destruction of the East Wing of the White House complex. Whether or not the Supreme Court even has the legal right to intervene in presidential executive orders and actions. The president is essentially arguing he's the king and he doesn't have to have anyone have any oversight over his decrees. And everything else that has to do with politics in our country. We'll have that conversation with Rick Essenberg, president of the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, after this on Point Taken on 620 WTMJ.
We get it. You're on the go, and life gets in the way. Stay up to date on all things WTMJ with podcasts of every show. Available on WTMJ.com. And don't forget you can stream WTMJ online and watch your favorite WTMJ shows on YouTube. Every show, when you want it, no matter where you are. We are Wisconsin's radio station, News Radio 620 WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ, Steve Scaffidi for Advent. I have talked over and over again about how important Advent has been in my life. It changed my life. If you don't think sleep is important and getting a good night's sleep and waking up rested and refreshed, well, then I think you're missing something, because all that poor sleep can lead to a very tired person in the morning. And for me, that was a morning on the radio, and nobody wants that. But you could do something about it. I always tell people, it's as simple as that. And people ask me about Advent all the time on the streets. You can go there for a 30-minute visit. Ask your questions. See what they can do for you. Everybody's different problems, different solutions. For me and for a lot of other people, it's sinuses and nasal passages. Breathing triangle is what they call it. They did something for me that changed my life. They did a short procedure in one of their offices, opened up my sinuses and nasal passages, and because of that, I don't snore anymore. I wake up rested and refreshed. I don't struggle to sleep. I enjoy sleep because I just sleep. There's no wake-ups and all the other things going on with you if you don't talk to Advent. You want to find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your life better, go to adventknows.com. Schedule an appointment today, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
From the biggest stars to the greatest moments, Behind the Bucks is Bucks history like you've never heard it before. It's all on Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus audio network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the new ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
Rick Esselberg will join us shortly here on WTMJ. It's really easy to sort of just pretend that things don't happen. I give you a couple examples. Or if it's your guy, you look the other way. And that's sort of been the response from a lot of Republicans and conservatives lately. It's like, well, he's better than Harris. If you believe that's true, and perhaps it is. So that means you give your guy, in this case, President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, carte blanche, do whatever he wants, and in whatever fashion he wants to. Because I can guarantee you, if you're going to be honest with yourselves, if this was Kamala Harris knocking down the East Wing of the White House, that is all we would hear about on talk radio every day. But yet there's crickets because it's uncomfortable to talk about. So much of what passes for radio now is talking points and the silliness of politics. And, I'm not a fan of that. And I think we have to work a lot harder to get past that. And one of the reasons and one of the ways that we do that is having great guests who, for lack of a better term, know what the hell they're talking about. And that guy who's looking very sharp today, very dapper today, is my friend Rick Esselberg, who's the president of the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. Make sure your mic's on. We're good to go. Good morning.
Well, good morning. I thought you were going to say guests that walk into the studio and then spill their water.
That's okay. We'll take care of that. As long as the mic's still working, we're good.
Yeah.
So I guess let's start high level. I made a point in the first segment before you were in here. I have this litmus test now about politics. And it involves basically if whatever you're talking about, whether it's the knocking down part of the East Wing or president asking for money, which we'll get to all these in greater detail. If the other side did this of the political aisle, would you not blow that up? And doesn't that sort of defeat any logic or common sense in what your side, your guy is doing? I mean, that's how I litmus test this stuff now. If Kamala Harris was knocking down part of the East Wing of the White House, I'd be pissed about it. But here we have a President Donald Trump who apparently some of his supporters saying, you're good. Go ahead. No problem. That's just one thing.
Well, our politics have become both tribal, right? We have a strong sense that our political affiliation is our identity, is who we are, which, have been around for a while, and it wasn't always quite that way. And the second thing is that we think that our politics are existential, that the country hangs in the balance on each election. If Trump wins, democracy is over. If the Democrats win, the Republicans are actually saying the same thing, that democracy
right.
is over. And when that's the case, then there's a strong incentive on the part of people to just defend everything that their side does because, who cares about constitutional process? Who cares about statutory niceties if the country is hanging in the balance, right? And I think that is a fundamentally mistaken way to view our politics. I think it is irreconcilable with our Constitution, which is why, Steve, if you want to trigger me, the way to do it is to come up and say to me, okay, boomer, you don't know what time it is.
Oh, yeah, I get that, as we are both boomers. I guess let's start with one of the big ones. And I saw you had some commentary on Twitter about this. The president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, is basically trying to get the Justice Department to hand him $230 million as some part of a settlement for investigations he felt that he faced unfairly during the Biden administration. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you used the term, this is like straight up corruption.
Well, right, if that's what's happening, right? So the New York Times reported that he made some comments which were sort of unclear. He didn't really deny it. And I think that was the wrong way to handle it. The right way to handle it would be to say, I don't want to talk about that. I'm president of the United States now. I'm focused on doing my job for the people of the United States. If at some point after I'm president, I choose to assert a claim for what I believe were unwarranted investigations and prosecutions, then we'll discuss it at that time. Because the problem is that the conflict of interest is staggering. To have the president of the United States involved in any way on a decision as to whether to compensate someone for, malicious prosecution or unwarranted investigation, particularly in light of the fact that such claims are almost impossible to win. Like anybody who has been wrongly accused knows this.
The burden of proof is really, really high.
The burden of proof is really high. There are qualified immunities. Any government lawyer, worth his or her salt would say, look, we got to defend this thing. And so I think that this is something which is not appropriate for the president to be discussing. If it does come up in a New York Times article, he should say, look, that's not going on now. I'm not going to talk about that right now. This is for some time. If this happens at all, it's for some time in the future when I'm no longer president. He didn't really say that, and that's unfortunate.
As part of the problem, this president does blur his personal interests, even his business interests, with the operations and the daily work of a president of the United States.
Yeah, it's a personalist regime, and you mentioned at the outset about inconsistency. One of the things I hated, and made a great deal of fun of when Barack Obama was elected president is these nauseating celebrity interviews where all of these Hollywood figures would go on camera and say that they pledged to serve Barack Hussein Obama. You had the red chili peppers guy kissing his biceps. And I thought that's not what we do in America. Our president is not that kind of figure. Was never intended to be that kind of figure. And I think that Republicans and conservatives back then were appropriately dismissive of people that treated Barack Obama that way. Time to, I think, take the same position with respect to some of the hero worship of Donald Trump, which you see on the right. I mean, that is not what the president of the United States is. He is not he's not a figure that embodies or personalizes the country.
No, you have to give the president credit. He correctly identified issues in the campaign last year that really resonated with the American public: the border policy, crime. He talked a lot about inflation. I think he's had mixed results on that issue, but he understood that that's what people were concerned about. But I think, and this is my opinion, conservative Republicans are doing themselves a disservice by not using the same standards they use for the administrations you talked about with this administration. We seem to just be handing the controls to one individual. And this president, by the way, has argued that maybe even the Supreme Court can't put checks on him, which, God, I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
Well, I would not say that the Supreme Court cannot put checks on him because I happened to see some statistics last night about the number of lawsuits that have been filed against the Trump administration. Now, I'm not surprised by that because Trump has been very, very aggressive in his assertion of executive authority. I'm not saying all the lawsuits are good. They're not all good. But I'm not surprised that there are a lot of them. And when there has been a decision to date, the Trump administration has lost more than they've won. And I think that, the situation at the United States Supreme Court, I think, is a little bit difficult to evaluate because I think that the administration lawyers are doing what lawyers do. That is, if we go into court and we lose one in the district court and we look at it and we say, heck, there's no way we're going to win this on appeal, we don't take the appeal because we don't want to make bad law. And I think the administration lawyers are quite properly doing that. And so the cases that get up to SCOTUS are the hardest ones, right? The ones where the case is closest. And up there, I think it's a very, very mixed bag, particularly given the fact that many of these cases are still at the preliminary stage, and a ruling that allows something that the administration does to stay in place does not necessarily mean the administration is going to win that when the case is heard on the full merits.
Rick Essenberg, president of the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. We're just getting warmed up on the, Thursday edition of the Point Taken show. Kristen is off today. Lots more to get to with my guest and contributor, Rick Essenberg after this on 620 WTMJ.
When we're out in your town, come say hi as we broadcast live from the Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin mobile studio.
Anytime you hear us when we're on the road, you can find us live from our brand new mobile studio.
Whether it be Summerfest, EAA, Opening Day, Air and Water Show, wherever we may be.
You can see us on the radio, live from the Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin mobile studio.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
News Radio 620 WTMJ.
More and more these days, people are in pain are taking control of their lives, their health, and looking beyond traditional medicine. Hey, it's WTMJ, Steve Scaffidi. People just like me and you are finding lasting relief without steroids, medication, surgery right here in Milwaukee at QC Kinetics. Here's how it works. Your blood contains tiny but mighty healing tools at QC Kinetics. And oh, by the way, I'm a patient. I met with Dr. Carabelli and her team. They get to the root of where your pain stems from. For me, it was my elbow. Concentrates their natural healing tools in the exact location you need it. They put natural elements to work. Your body can revitalize those joints, literally using your own power to heal. It's a simple injection, not a hospital stay. All fast, all natural, and no downtime. If it's back, knees, shoulders, elbow are keeping you from enjoying your life, explore all the options before you agree to more pills or surgery. Call QC Kinetics today and schedule a free consultation with Dr. Carabelli and her team. Take charge of your health. Look beyond the same old solutions. Your first consultation is free. I'm a patient. I have no elbow pain because of QC Kinetics. There's no reason to wait. Call QC Kinetics now, 414-667-5559.
They saved over $50,000 after we sold their home at only 1.9%. You don't have to pay 6% to market and sell your home. Hundreds of Century 21 Benefit Realty clients will attest. You can get it all for only 1.9%. The more value your home has, the more important it is to find the best real estate commission and the marketing ability to get top dollar. And with Century 21 behind us, that's what we have. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated. Half a century of marketing expertise joined with over 20 years of local market knowledge. Not to mention the savings you'll see after you get our best commission right up front, which, by the way, is only 1.9% on the listing side of your home. Join that together and you can be sure that you've chosen the right real estate experts who have the experience to market your home effectively and give you a commission that'll end up paying for things like new furniture. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated.
Spas! The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show is this weekend only inside the Exposition Center at Wisconsin State Fair Park. Millions of inventory must be sold. Prices are slashed up to 60% off retail, so save thousands. Save big on new hot tubs, spas, and saunas, also cold tubs. Plus, see the Michael Phelps Signature Swim Spas by Master Spas.
Hi, I'm Michael Phelps. Join the swimming revolution.
The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show, this weekend only, inside the Exposition Center at Wisconsin State Fair Park. Visit 1-800-SPASale.com.
Couple of minutes and we give you the latest update on local news and the latest from ABC. Rick Essenberg, president of the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, in studio with me for this hour. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but the sort of the retooling of the East Wing, now it's half knocked down. I think I heard the president say yesterday it's all coming down. I've been in that building a number of times. It's an old building. It's almost 100 years old. He's replacing it with a grand ballroom. Any thoughts on this sort of recent news?
I mean, the White House has been changed before, perhaps not quite as significally
with
as
congressional
this,
approval.
although these wings were, well, not always. But I do think that although I think one can make a case that there is a need for something like a ballroom where you can have a big function at the White House, I think it would have been better had this gotten a bit more of public vetting, even if the decision would ultimately lie with the president. My concern with it is not that the East Wing is coming down. I've been in the East Wing too. That's no great shakes. But I think what he's putting up is a little too big and disproportional.
It's bigger than the regular White House.
And perhaps with more public discussion, that could have been modified.
Yeah. And interesting enough, whether he went through Congress or not, I guess that's open for interpretation. But apparently some of the things that they've avoided is even just going through the regular permit process, which any new building, as the former mayor I know is required. They just did none of that. So it's sort of an interesting look at what's going on in Washington, D.C. on the grounds of the White House. Lots going on with the president and the money associated with business in America, the office of president. We'll get to that with Rick and the next half hour of our program. We have local news coming up with Jessica Ty. Before we get to any of that, here's now the latest from ABC.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Dozens of people, including some current and former NBA players, are now charged in connection with a widespread illegal sports betting scheme. ABC's Aaron Katursky says Miami Heat forward Terry Rozier is accused of using insider information for sports betting.
Terry Rozier was among players like Jontay Porter, who prosecutors said faked an injury and told sports bettors beforehand, like in a particular game when he was playing for the Charlotte Hornets back in March of 2023, that he would be out within 9 minutes, sometime in the first quarter. And the sports bettors then used that information to place $200,000 worth of bets, according to the indictment.
Rozier's lawyer is denying the charges. Vice President Vance criticizing Israel after a parliament vote approving the annexation of the West Bank. Home sales picked up last month as mortgage rates dropped. The median price of a pre-existing home over $415,000. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 10:31. I'm Jessica Ty. The mother of 6 children found living in a storage unit last month pleads not guilty. Asia Zielinski stood before a judge Wednesday afternoon after her motion to dismiss the case was denied. Zielinski faces child neglect charges after her 6 children were found locked inside a storage unit on Milwaukee's north side. The children's father will appear in court on Thursday. Milwaukee police officers could see a new contract for the first time since December 2022. Milwaukee Police Association President Alex Ayala tells Wisconsin's Midday News why he believes members will vote for this deal.
I think that the cities, recognize the value in us, and I think they, want to make a deal so that, we just get this behind us. And the deal that we, are going to propose to our members was negotiated between us and the city during arbitration, and I feel that the membership will like it and they will agree to it and vote hopefully yes on it.
He also told us if MPA members are not satisfied with this agreement, they can vote to return to arbitration. A woman is under arrest after she was almost hit by a train in Tosa. Wauwatosa police say they were notified just after 1 a.m. Wednesday that an SUV was stuck on railroad tracks near the village. The driver of that vehicle was able to leave her car just before it was hit by a freight train. No one was hurt, but Wauwatosa police arrested that driver on suspicion of operating while intoxicated. Time for news about your money. Here's the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. We're still looking good. Everything is up. The Dow is up 77 points to 46,667. S&P 500 is up nearly 27 points to 6,726. And the NASDAQ is up nearly 162 points to 22,902. Good start to the day. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth. Annex Private Client. Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Checking out the roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. Much of the same as it was when I checked in with you last time. 4394 north at Beecher. We still have the right shoulder block. There's a disabled vehicle out there. Hood has popped up on that one. Also out in Waukesha County, we've got a truck that's hauling something that's been out there since yesterday. Disabled vehicle on the exit to Wisconsin 164 County J from I-94 West. No crashes to report. And here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Partly cloudy, breezy, and cool today. We have a high of 50. Skies will clear tonight. And take note on this one, everybody. The time has come. A widespread frost freeze warning goes into effect at 2 a.m. for all of southeastern Wisconsin. Temps will dip down to 35 near the lake, but 29 inland. So if you have plants you want to protect, cover them up or bring them inside. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 52. Saturday, partly cloudy, high of 55. Sunday, much of the same, partly cloudy, high of 56. Then on Monday, we have a slight chance for rain, mostly cloudy otherwise, a high of 56. We're now up to 45 degrees in Port Washington, 43 in Waukesha, and we're still sitting at 43 right here in downtown Milwaukee. I'm Jessica Ty. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is now 10:34.
I give up.
What's wrong?
I've been doing everything wrong at home. I washed the red towels with the white bed sheets. I left all the kitchen cabinet doors open. I wiped out the hydrangeas with the weed whacker.
Hey, we all make mistakes.
But darn it, my wife still isn't mad at me.
Wait, hold on. You're doing these things on purpose?
Yeah.
Why?
So I can sleep on the couch.
Let me guess. The James sofa from Penny Mustard?
Bingo.
With the extra deep seats.
And ultra high density foam cushions?
Remove the back cushions and it's almost like you're sleeping on a twin bed.
Twin bed? Exactly.
Let me get this straight. You're trying to make your wife mad so she'll make you sleep on the sofa?
The James sofa, yes.
I gotta admit, it's a pretty good plan.
The James sofa, American-made with a solid wood fortress frame and hundreds of fabric and leather options, starting at $22.96 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Are you struggling with stubborn weight gain during perimenopause or menopause? It's not your fault. Your changing hormones are forcing your body to store fat, no matter how little you eat or how much you exercise. But there's hope. The Milwaukee Weight Loss Proprietary Natural Program helps restore your metabolism and reset your hormonal balance so you can finally lose the weight and keep it off. No counting calories, no prepackaged meals, no injections, just real results. Join thousands of women who've discovered how to lose 10 to 20% of their body weight in just 8 weeks to feel like themselves again. Visit MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com now to schedule your free consultation.
Hey, it's WTNJ Steve Scaffidi here. After a summer in the maintenance phase, I'm back in reduction mode. I'm going to lose 10 more pounds. That means I'll have lost 50 pounds since January. The best part, none of the intense workouts, no meals or shakes, none of the meds or injections. Many patients see 20 to 30 pounds come off in just a month or two. Book your free consultation today at 262-393-2334 or online at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Another half hour with my guest, Rick Esselberg, who is the president of the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. Very smart man and a guy who knows his way around the legalities of all the questions we're talking about when it comes to politics. So this one is sort of financial, and we're not financial experts. I don't think I'm not. I don't think you are as well. But the personal enrichment of a president through his office. We know that the president is, pitching all kinds of products. It's sort of a weird dynamic. But the other piece that's, I think, a bigger story is the idea that when the president negotiates with some of the big companies that he's working with, he's carving out like equity for the United States of America, apparently, in some of these companies, like a 10% share here, and a lot of these big tech companies. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is this like a new phenomena that we're going to like partner up federal government agencies with private companies? And I suppose it's happened before in some context, but it seems like that's just like the starting point for all negotiations.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that the concept is new. What I know is the concept is bad.
Right?
We're very concerned, and the Republicans talk a lot about, socialism and communism, and I share some of those concerns. Sometimes I think it's a little bit overwrought, but this is, I'm a free market guy. And for the government to take an ownership stake in private entities brings with it a level of government control over those entities that goes beyond legally enacted regulations. Now, the government's a shareholder. The government has to be mollified in some way that it didn't have to before. I don't think that that's a good thing because I think that the genius of our system is that we have a system of democratic capitalism, of free markets, in which companies are free to, succeed, sail, or fail. It leads to innovation. It leads to prosperity. It has been, by far, there is nothing else that even comes close, the greatest anti-poverty mechanism in the history of the world. And I don't want a Republican president messing with that. And so when I say, as I have said, and you've read on my Twitter account, that I don't believe that the MAGA movement is conservative, this is one of the reasons that I think that the Republican Party has traditionally been the party of limited government and free markets. And to try to now strong-arm companies into giving the government a piece of the action, much like, a mob boss who's breaking out a corner store, I think is a departure from that traditional Republican conservative opinion, and it's bad for the country.
Well, going back to my original point, why do you think conservatives, some of them, people who call themselves conservatives, seem to be unwilling or unable to call this stuff out? We know the same cast of characters when you're looking at conservatives in Wisconsin. Some of them are elected, some of them are talk radio people, some are just people that are experts on various pieces of the puzzle when it comes to politics. but they don't call this president out when he oversteps what have been traditional lines that conservatives don't cross. They just let it go.
Well, so both parties right now are scared to death of their base and very much driven by fear and animosity towards their opponents. And so you see this playing out in a number of ways. For example, in the Virginia gubernatorial race, right, you have the candidate for attorney general has said, some horrible things about wanting to kill his opponents and, celebrating the death of their families. And the Democratic candidate for governor was unwilling to denounce that and then proceeded to vote for the guy. Why? Does she think that what he said was correct? I think she does not. I think she believes it's abhorrent, but she's afraid of her base. She can't say it. And we have the same dynamic that's operating on the Republican side, where, there was this, chat chain, lots of horrible things said by these young Republican guys. A lot of conservatives have denounced that, but the vice president wouldn't. Why? Fear of the base. And this idea that if elections are existential, we have to stick with everybody who we think might vote for us. We have to accept whatever they do. And that is a really unfortunate development because that leads to a race to the bottom.
He is Rick Esselberg, president of Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. We're going to get to elections and not only what happened in 2020 and what's happened since, but looking forward as the president sort of twists the arms of some states to try to stack the deck when it comes to their district lines and their votes in Congress. We'll have that conversation after this on 620 WTMJ.
We all have one. That junk drawer, old keys, dead batteries, a phone charger from 2008. But somewhere in there are the tools you actually need. They're just buried in the clutter. For many people, their finances look the same way. Scattered, outdated, unproductive. A financial junk drawer. At Annex Wealth Management, we help you clean out that junk drawer. Organize what matters, eliminate what doesn't, and plan with purpose. And we'll do it as a fee-only fiduciary. Start today at AnnexWealth.com. That's Annex Wealth Management.
Loyalty, family, few things are more important than that. This is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi and Loyal Family Renovations. I don't just talk about them. They came to my house. They saved my house, my roof specifically, after a bad storm in Oak Creek. A lot of hail damage, even had some leaks. I had it bad. A lot of neighbors did as well. Jeff, Jake, and his whole team came out, met with our insurance adjuster on our patio. We all talked at the same time. We had it on speaker, made the entire process as smooth as possible. They worked with my insurance company, got me the most value. I have a brand new roof because of their work, and it's the best roof I could have had on a pretty old house. Quick answers, top-notch customer service. 2 days, I had a brand new roof on an old house, as I said. Clean, picked up every last nail that fell off the roof. I was so impressed. I told my whole neighborhood about it. If storm damage hits your house or your neighborhood, call the team that made it easy for me, Loyal Family Renovations. Easy way to do it, loyalfamilyrenovations.com.
Dazzling lights, pumpkin sculptures, jack-o'-lanterns that come to life. Stroll through the brand new Jack-o'-lantern Nights at the Racine Zoo. Carve out lasting memories at the new immersive pumpkin and enchanting light displays. Take fun family pictures in the fall decor and enjoy seasonal snacks and beverages. Get into the Halloween spirit during Jack-o'-lantern Nights at the Racine Zoo. Open 6 to 10 p.m. Thursday through Sunday, now through October 31st. For details, visit racinezoo.org.
Enjoy life at Capri Communities, where senior living's our expertise. Caring staff that help you when you need. Enjoy life at Capri, making friends and memories. Living life to the fullest, you will love your new home. Enjoy life at Capri Communities.
Who doesn't need a seasonal wardrobe update? But who has the cash to always keep their wardrobe updated? Ladies, that's why you shop St. Vincent de Paul. Our women's clothing is always a highlight of our stores, and thrift store prices keep the costs low. It allows you to experiment and also find a hidden gem. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Does your bathroom belong in a haunted house? Or maybe it's just time for a refresh. WTMJ and Sidex are back with the Boo beautiful bathroom contest. One lucky listener will win a tub or shower conversion valued up to $10,000. It's easy. Snap a pic of your scary shower, terrifying tub, or even just one you're tired of. And enter now at WTMJ.com. Sidex makes it easy to go from fright to fabulous.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's.
As always, appreciate you tuning in. If you missed any or all of our conversation with Rick Esselberg from the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, president of that organization, you can find it on our podcast page at WTMJ.com, or, this is the cool part, wherever you get your podcast. Just put in Point Taken, take you right there to our latest show. So always make sure you heard the whole story. I want to talk about comments that are being made by the President of the United States referring again to 2020. I know people are sick and tired of hearing about it, but when I have that in the back of my mind, and I know that we have midterms coming up, and of course another presidential election in 2028, I do worry that we are getting to a point where all common sense gets thrown out the window when it comes to how we conduct our elections, how we review our elections, the commentary that's associated with people analyzing elections. Do you have that same fear? Are you okay? Are we in a good place when it comes to how we administer and how we review our elections, do you think?
No, but I don't think it's as bad as each side thinks it is. We did a study of the 2020 election. We concluded that Biden almost certainly won more eligible votes than Trump, but the election also wasn't run according to the law. Now, maybe that was because of the pandemic, but we have a dynamic here where the one side, and it tend to be the Republicans, are way too concerned about voter fraud. They not that voter fraud isn't something that you need to be concerned about, but it is very difficult to do it at scale, and most elections are beyond the margin.
It's
of
also
fraud.
very rare in Wisconsin.
Probably, but I think pinpointing exactly how much happens is very, very difficult.
Right.
We have the Democrats, on the other hand, who I think are properly seen as steadfastly resisting anything that enhances election security. And they can do that, making the argument that, this makes it harder to vote. The problem is that security measures always make it harder to do something. Right? Security measures for your credit cards, you have to put in that 3-digit number. There are all sorts of things that are done in order to make it harder for somebody to commit fraud, and make it a little harder for you to use your credit card. And so there's a balance that has to be reached. But right now, because each side rabidly distrusts the other, there's no discussion of what that balance should be. And so I think that we might get to a better place if we all just calm down a little bit. But that's not just the Republicans. That's the Democrats, too. They've got to stop with the hair on fire about voter suppression, because that's pretty rare, too.
What's the safeguards if the Department of Justice and FBI are Trump loyalists and Trump defenders for any argument? What's the safeguard that our elections will be safe and secure and can be validated properly after they happen?
I think what happened in 2020 is that you've got the courts, and people that say that the courts are somehow, federal courts are somehow acting as a rubber stamp for Trump. At the same time, when the subject now becomes the 2020 election, they say that the Trump campaign lost every case it brought. And it did. It lost every case it brought. Or what typically happened is that lawyers would file a complaint, but when it came time to move forward, to get to the point where you have to put up and shut up, they shut up. They said, okay, we're withdrawing this case because we filed it. We thought the evidence would be there. The evidence is not there. We're not going to proceed. And so the courts did serve as a backstop. The system worked the way that it was supposed to work. And there's no reason to think that it won't again. I was a little concerned based upon some of the comments that were attributed coming out of the White House that the federal judicial nominees would be bad, right? They wouldn't be. I mean, I hate to put it this way, but they wouldn't be people like me. They wouldn't be Federalist Society conservatives. Not that it would be me. I'm too old for that. But there have been a few clinkers. But so far, and Rebecca Tableson here in Milwaukee being appointed to Seventh Circuit is a perfect example of these stellar people that are being appointed to the federal courts, and they will do the right thing when the time comes, whatever that thing turns out to be, because we can't prejudge these cases.
All right, so that's the election side of it. I want to talk about the Supreme Court in our final segment as we wrap it up with Rick Esserberg on the Thursday edition of Point Taken on 620 WTMJ.
Your way inside the huddle.
Hit one, hit two.
Without putting on any pads.
Hi.
It's Green and Gold Insiders on Wisconsin's Afternoon News.
When you're playing and you're going through the season, every win's a good win. Some are better than others. Beat a really good team, it feels like a better win, but that's hard to do in the NFL.
Green and Gold Insiders is presented by Window Nation. It's Green and Gold Insiders all season long, right here on WTMJ.
Hey, WTMJ and Sidex are back with a beautiful bathroom contest, and time is running out to enter your scary shower, terrifying tub, or your space that maybe just needs a refresh. Text BOO, B-O-O, to the WTMJ talking text line 855-616-1620, or head to WTMJ.com to enter and for full contest rules. Hurry now. This is your chance to turn your outdated bathroom to a beautiful treat. Enter now at WTMJ.com.
Heart disease won't stop us. Diabetes won't slow us down. Allergies, high blood pressure, shoulder pain, cancer. Nothing will keep us from pushing Wisconsin ahead. Because with the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network, forward progress is what we stand for. That means always pushing and always innovating. With new technologies and breakthrough treatments that make life better, whether we're sick or well. It means providing more convenience and more ways to receive medical excellence for all your health needs, for big and small. It means being there for you, our family, caring for yours. So let's keep raising the bar. Let's keep testing the limits of what medicine can do. Let's push ahead and make life here as great as it can be. Visit Freighter.com to find out how.
It's a bird bash at Potawatomi. Thursdays, you could win up to $50,000 cash in the Bird Bash Game Show. Just play with your rewards card this October for a chance to win. Wouldn't you like to rake in a huge pile of cash? Bird Bash, only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. More info at potawatomi.com/birdbash. Must be 21 years old to play.
WTMJ's Julia Fellow for Appliance Gallery on Wisconsin Avenue in Milwaukee, home to the state's most up-to-date luxury appliance showroom, featuring top brands like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Bosch, GE Cafe, and more. They work seamlessly with your designer or contractor. Customize with colors from Blue Star and True Residential. As a small family-owned business with one location, they handle everything from start to finish. Visit ApplianceGalleryWI.com or stop in today.
For over a century, local radio has evolved with the needs of the community. From politics to pop culture, we keep you informed, bringing you the most relevant news, online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text radio to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Keep the comfort in and the weather out with beautiful new windows and doors from Siding Unlimited. For ideas, go to our Siding Unlimited Instagram page. For a free estimate and honest price guarantee, go to sidingunlimited.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Thanks for tuning in on this Thursday. I could talk to Rick for hours because we love talking about this stuff because we both are very passionate about politics, and I do it on the radio, and he does it with this great organization, Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. If folks want to find out about your organization, by the way, how can they do that?
Well, they can go to www.will-law.org.
And you guys do great work, and I will say this, the people you have working for you, not that you're not a smart guy, man, you got some good people working for you.
Yeah, my line is that I've reached the point in my life where most of my job is taking credit for the hard work that younger people do, and my younger colleagues exhaust me. You know, they don't realize I'm getting older. You know, I can't. This credit taking is tiring.
Well, take credit. You put them in those positions. That's where you can.
I'll take credit for that.
All right, so let's quickly. We only got like a minute and a half here, but. I am not as confident probably as you that the Supreme Court is going to ever push back on this president, including on issues like National Guard deployment, some of the powers of the president's office, how much he can do with on birthright citizenship, constitutional issues. Do you see it in a different way? Or you think they can push back on some of these things, or will they?
Yeah, I think they will, and in particularly, I think due process guarantees in deportation. I think that they quite signaled that they're going to pull in the reins there. I don't think Trump wins the birthright citizenship case. People talk about immunity. They say that he can do whatever he wants. That's criminal immunity. That doesn't mean the president can do whatever he wants. They can enjoin what he's doing in a civil case. And I actually think that Chief Justice Roberts' language on immunity, there needs to be some kind of presidential immunity. His language was too broad, but I think that'll be narrowed in the unhappy case that the question of criminal liability of a president never comes up again.
Love it. Always appreciate the conversation. And thanks for making it that you could come into the studio because it's always easier to do that. We'll do it again probably next month or so. Rick Essenberg, president of the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. We'll take a break for news. And then Jeremy Janine from UrbanMilwaukee.com. Let's shift the focus to the city of Milwaukee and what's going on there. News is next, 620 WTMJ.
Vince Vitrano here for Connect Chiropractic. Get your aches and pains under control and bring back your energy. Whether it's headaches, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, time and repetition is key to staying on the right track. I've been seeing Dr. Alex and his team for 2 years now. No twisting, no cracking, no popping. Connect Chiropractic uses a special tool that is targeted and effective, yet pain-free and gentle. In Delafield and Wauwatosa, and the new location on Rawson Avenue in Oak Creek. Get started at GoConnectChiro.com.
A buck doesn't buy much unless you're spending it at Griffin. For just $1 over cost, you can buy brand new tires from us. This is Jim Griffin. Any major brand, $1 over our cost with free tire repair and lifetime rotation. We'll even show you the invoice to prove it. Our only requirements, we put them on for you. Buy one or the whole set. The dollar deal from Griffin. Milwaukee and Waukesha. Griffin. The buck stops here, but the deals on tires don't. That's Griffin.
Not combinable with other tire offers.
Artwork, especially original artwork, can be pricey. But when you take it in on consignment from nice people like you who are just ready to change the look of their home, you can price it right. And you'll find a lot of it at Design Exchange. Beautiful frame pieces by a number of notable artists. And new ones pop in all the time. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
In Heartland, you're going to find a focus on distinctive furniture, unique antiques, and original artwork, along with tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. In Pewaukee, the focus is on kitchen, outdoor, and garden decor, and all of it is priced at 25 to 40% off retail. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor on consignment at a value.
Design Exchange.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here for Tri-County Contracting. You've heard about Tri-County Contracting and their worry-free roof tune-up. You've heard about their instant roof quote. But don't forget, Tri-County Contracting also handles windows. Our project at my home moving right along right now, and the process has been so easy and thorough. It's nice when you can trust the team you're working with and know that they are looking out for you. Tri-County Contracting, WI.com. It's worry-free roofing, siding, and also windows. Tri-County Contracting, WI.com.
Spas. The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show is this weekend only inside the Exposition Center at Wisconsin State Fair Park. Millions of inventory must be sold. Prices are slashed up to 60% off retail, so save thousands. Save big on new hot tubs, spas, and saunas, also cold tubs. Plus, see the Michael Phelps Signature Swim Spas by Master Spas.
Hi, I'm Michael Phelps. Join the swimming revolution.
The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show this weekend only inside the Exposition Center at Wisconsin State Fair Park. Visit 1-800-SPASale.com.
Your trusted and relevant source for news, sports, traffic, and weather. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 11 o'clock, it's currently 40 degrees and partly sunny. I'm Julia Fellow. Expect partly cloudy skies today. It's breezy and cool. We'll have a high of 50. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, big names in the NBA under arrest in connection with 2 gambling investigations.
Law enforcement sources say those arrested include at least one active coach, Portland's Chauncey Billups, allegedly involved in a high-stakes poker operation, one active NBA player.
Three-pointer, Terry Rozier.
Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier was arrested here in Orlando this morning. The Heat played the Magic last night. ESPN reports sports betting operations in several states flagged suspicious betting interest on Rozier's statistics ahead of a Charlotte-New Orleans game back in 2023. Rozier played just 10 minutes for the Hornets that night. Peter King, CBS News, Orlando.
Day 23 of the government shutdown. Lawmakers aren't any closer. The Senate just voted again on the same 2 bills they rejected before. Rejected again. The shutdown is starting to affect paychecks for a lot of government workers. ABC's Jay O'Brien.
The Pentagon diverted money in its budget to prevent military families from missing their paychecks earlier this month. But as their next payday approaches, it's unclear if they will get paid this time. This as 42 million low-income Americans relying on the federal food assistance program, SNAP, are now bracing for benefits to run out in just days.
Back here in Wisconsin, officials, including the governor, are warning about the impact on our food share program.
The program is 100% federally funded and provides food assistance to 700,000 Wisconsinites. But Governor Tony Evers says funding will come to a halt in the coming days.
The federal government needs to develop immediate solutions to prevent Wisconsin's kids, families, seniors, veterans, and so many others from losing access to basic necessities like food and groceries.
The program remains fully funded through the end of October. Neil Doyle, WTMJ News.
The FBI arrested 22 people in southeastern Wisconsin in a massive gang takedown.
The FBI Milwaukee office says the multi-year investigation targeted street gangs operating in Racine and Milwaukee, with ties to what agents say is an international cartel. The investigation has led to the seizure of cocaine, fentanyl, marijuana, and methamphetamines. 23 firearms and 3 vehicles have also been confiscated. All 22 suspects face federal charges. Sean Brenda, WTMJ News.
OpenAI, which runs ChatGPT, and huge company Oracle plan to operate together out of Port Washington with that big data center coming. The announcement is part of OpenAI's Project Stargate, plan to build multiple data centers across the country. The president of the MMAC, Metropolitan and Milwaukee Association of Commerce, Dale Coinga, tells Wisconsin's Afternoon News how the data center will be used beyond ChatGPT.
These are the type of supercomputers that will make personalized medicine customized for your genomes, for your diet, for your atmosphere, for your activity.
Port Washington is currently one of 2 Project Stargate locations built in the U.S. The other is in Texas. Time for news about your money and your WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything in the green. Dow up slightly, up 26 at 46,617. S&P 500 up 26, NASDAQ up 167. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:04.
I know why you continue to live in pain. It's because you don't believe anything can be done to help. Maybe you bought into something and you've been burned before. I mean, your skepticism. It's understandable. This is Rejuvenex founder Richard Salinas. And here we use powerful, anti-inflammatory, and cushioning pharmacological medicines to ease your pain. They're FDA approved, and most medical insurance is going to pay for our treatments, including Medicare and Medicaid. And that's the litmus test. Because if insurance has shown to cover the cost of many of our patients' treatments, you can be sure it's valid medicine. It's not a biological treatment considered experimental or some new gimmick that's trying to hook you. The Rejuvenex approach to pain relief is legitimate. It helps to alleviate pain in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. And from what we've seen, it gives people a new lease on their lives.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Call today, and there's a good chance we'll see you tomorrow.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
What makes Hasselus mattress different?
Aside from employee-free showrooms, free next-day delivery and haul-away, and way too low prices on Beauty Rest, Sealy Posturepedic, and Serta Perfect Sleeper?
Yeah, besides that.
Well, Hasselus is locally owned.
You mean your franchise is locally owned?
We're not a franchise. Every showroom is owned and managed by the same family. So, when you shop at Hasselus, your money stays right here. And through Monday, our family wants to give you a $248 credit towards a new Beauty Rest, Sealy Posturepedic, and Serta Perfect Sleeper just for shopping local.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Our 43 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393.
I like that.
Try and buy with no pushy sales guy.
I love that.
Free next day delivery too.
Thanks.
For what?
For being different.
Shop local and enjoy a $248 credit through Monday at Hasselus Mattress. Open 9 to 9. Find a no-hassle, employee-free showroom near you at hasselus.com.
Time for a WTMJ sports update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers insists Sunday's game is not a revenge game.
I don't have any animosity toward the organization. Obviously, I wish that, things have been better in our last year there, but, I have a great relationship with a lot of people still in that organization.
Green Bay Packers are 3.5-point favorites for that game. Packers wide receiver Christian Watson continues practice in a limited capacity. The team has until 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon to place Watson on the active roster. Giannis Antetokounmpo scored game-high 37 points in the Bucks' opening night win over the Washington Wizards. Final score, 133-120. Starting point guard Kevin Porter Jr. left the game in the first half with a sprained ankle. An MRI today will determine the severity of it. The Bucks now travel to Toronto to face the Raptors tomorrow. Let's take a look at your roads for WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time-saver traffic. 4394 north, about a half mile beyond Howard. The left shoulder's blocked. I see at least 3 cars involved in the crash, causing major slowdowns. That's all I see. Everything else looks normal.
Traffic is sponsored by the Amazing Mineshaft Restaurant in downtown Hartford.
Every Monday and Thursday, buy one pizza, get a second pizza absolutely free at the Mineshaft Family Restaurant in downtown Hartford. Google the Mineshaft today.
Here is your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Partly cloudy, breezy, cool today. The high will be 50. Skies clear tonight, but pay attention to this. A widespread frost freeze warning goes into effect overnight for all of southeast Wisconsin. Temperatures will dip down to 35 near the lake, 29 inland. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, a high of 52. Saturday, partly cloudy, a high of 55. Sunday, high of 56. Monday, slight chance of rain, mostly cloudy otherwise, a high of 56. Right now in Madison, it's sunny and 44. Green Bay, partly sunny and 45 degrees. And Milwaukee, partly sunny and 43 degrees. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Kristen Bry.
Kristen Bry is off today. She'll be back tomorrow along with Bill McCutcheon and Joseph Pecky, our regular Friday political power hours. I think we're doing 90 tomorrow because we have a special guest. Tom Tiffany, candidate for governor, current congressman from the northern part of the state of Wisconsin, will join us at 11:35. Now, I haven't seen this dude, in a few weeks because I've been out of country. I don't know if you knew that.
I am aware. It sounded lovely. I'm jealous.
And it's not just sounded, it was lovely and awesome. Jeremy Janine, urbanmilwaukee.com, joining us. It's almost a cliche, Jeremy, but when you talk about reckless driving, it is one of those Milwaukee stories that gets a lot of play on talk radio. So let's do it in a different way. And the interesting piece about your reporting is I had not thought of this. The impact of reckless driving, not on the individuals involved, but like infrastructure, expenses associated with it.
There is definitely a hidden cost to reckless driving, not just in the damage to our psyche, but the physical damage to the actual infrastructure of the city. This is something I'd flagged to write about a couple of years ago because it came up in a budget debate of like, what actually is the cost? There's this, we just got to repair all these poles as a city, and as the state comes in if they're state roads and things like that. But there is a non-zero cost to that, and the city didn't previously break it out as a special line item, but they admitted it keeps getting bigger.
What are we talking about? What's
bigger? Now it's $3.5 million every year.
Okay.
It has its own line item. So I know you and Kristen talked about the hop. It costs about $4 million to operate the hop every year. Costs $3.5 million just to deal with picking stuff up after reckless drivers.
So one might ask, are we going after the reckless drivers or their insurance companies or whatever to get those costs recouped?
Yes. So there's a couple numbers here I'll throw at you. So there's $3.5 million, and that's not just reckless driving. That's all knockdowns. So if you, Steve, are really mad after a Packers loss and you get out there and somehow push over a traffic signal, that theoretically would go in this bucket as well.
Why'd you go there?
It's been a up and down year.
Yes.
Things just like accidents, snowplows can knock over these poles. From a safety perspective, they're kind of designed to snap off. They're not designed to destroy your car when you run into them. But about 2/3 of those incidents, the city knows who did it. There's a citation issue, and they can walk it back to figure out, we're going to go after this person for the money. So we're down to around $2 million something. Then they only actually collect on that from about half the people for, I assume, various reasons. But
it's actually a good collection rate.
Yeah, so
50%.
But you're 50% of 2/3. You're down around $1 million of this $3.5 million. But the other challenge is, even though they're working with the police department and the municipal courts, it can take up to 5 years to actually collect this money. So now that money, instead of going through this weird process of reimbursable accounts and everything, is just going to go to pay down the debt associated with this directly. The city will issue new bonds every year as part of its capital budget for $3.5 million with a line item for streetlight knockdowns.
Yeah, and you don't have to drive very far to see examples of this every day in Milwaukee. Sort of tangentially related, but I want to ask you about this. Maybe this is like I'm big on homework lately. So as we had the Michigan Avenue just south of the avenue here, the sort of the reconfiguration where they put these bike lanes in and these raised bumpers and all that stuff, and now they have little reflectors sticking out of them. I'm curious, as these things go through winters, like especially these little things that stick up, these little reflectors, that must have increased cost associated with the maintenance, replacements of these things, not to mention the cost of putting all that extra concrete on the roadways that were basically just a road before. Any idea, maybe this is homework, like how much all of this is going to cost? It is part of the sort of the what is it, traffic calming?
Yes. So what you're talking about, these have been appearing since 2021. The city's put pinned on concrete bump outs. And what pinned on means is if the city changes its mind, it can just scrape it off and the road is there underneath. Yep. There are these little reflecting pieces that stick up out of them.
It's not a few. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, so they're on every single piece of concrete in the roadway. And it's not snowplows that knock them down so much as it's bad drivers.
Yeah, because they'll just go over the curb.
Yep. It only takes once to accidentally. And again, the piece is made to bend over quickly and not destroy your vehicle, unlike the concrete underneath it. There is a cost for that. Going back about 2 years now, city engineer Kevin Muse said, a lot of these are new. We're monitoring the situation. We can absorb it in our budget right now. But I think as you rightfully hit on, if you add more and more and more of this, we're likely headed towards a point where we have a line item for how much it costs to replace those. I would also note that if you look based on the age of them across city, Oklahoma Avenue, Capitol Drive, now Michigan Street, that they're not all the same. The city has iterated the design, iterated where in the concrete it even puts the sign. So there's a learning curve there as well.
Yeah, and I won't argue the point that these do calm the traffic because you're just trying to figure out where you're going. And I would think I just had this situation today. Pretty easy to see where the bikers are. And I had somebody on the right to me as I was pulling into our garage structure here, and I could easily see the biker. I was aware of them. I stopped. Thursday edition of Point Taken. Mine is Kristen, who will be back tomorrow on 620 WTMJ.
Hey, WTMJ's John Merck here on this week's Experience Wisconsin. Two of my very favorite places, Kenosha, the harbor along the water. It's beautiful. It's just about 30, 40 minutes south of Milwaukee. We'll explore Kenosha, and then we head the opposite direction, Rhinelander, the Northwoods. What a stunning time to plan your late fall trip to Rhinelander in the Northwoods. It's Experience Wisconsin featuring Kenosha and Rhinelander. Two absolutely beautiful spots, special spots in our state. It's Experience Wisconsin right here on 620 WTMJ.
Hey, more and more these days, people are in pain, like me, my elbow are taking control of their health and looking beyond traditional medicine. I did that with my elbow. I had chronic elbow pain. I went to QC Kinetics. WTMJ Steve Scaffidi is my name, and your name could be added to a list of people who find lasting relief without steroids, medications, surgery, right here in Milwaukee at QC Kinetics. Here's how it works. Your blood contains tiny but mighty healing tools. At QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli and her team get to the root of where your pain stems from. For me, it was my elbow. Concentrates their natural healing tools in the exact location. By putting these natural elements to work, your body can revitalize your joints, literally using the own power to heal. It's a simple injection, not a hospital stay. Fast, all natural, no downtime. Whether it's back, knees, shoulders, elbow, in my case, you can enjoy your life again, explore all your options before you agree to a major surgery or pills. Call QC Kinetics today. Schedule a free consultation with Dr. Caravelli and her team. Take charge of your health. Look beyond the same old, same old. Why wouldn't you? First consultation is free. Call 414-667-5559.
Does your bathroom belong in a haunted house? Or maybe it's just time for a refresh. WTMJ and Sidex are back with the Beautiful Bathroom Contest. One lucky listener will win a tub or shower conversion valued up to $10,000. It's easy. Snap a pic of your scary shower, terrifying tub, or even just one you're tired of. And enter now at WTMJ.com. Sidex makes it easy to go from fright to fabulous.
If you hear that song on the show, good chance Jared and Janine will be in studio. People always ask me about this. I want to always give you a chance to plug this. You do great work at everywhereMilwaukee.com. Great writers, great local coverage. But for the folks who are in pursuit of tchotchkes about Milwaukee, you have a great little store. Tell us where it is and how they can find it.
Urban Milwaukee, the store, kitty corner from Hotel Metro, 755 North Milwaukee Street. All things Milwaukee and Wisconsin pride. That includes shot glasses, T-shirts, games, puzzles, you name it. Hopefully we have it.
If you know, what's the hottest selling item there?
I was just looking. It's the time of year when ornaments are starting to pick up sales, and we designed it in-house ourselves. We have this 3D cheese wedge that is a hanging ornament for your Christmas tree. I just sold some to England, actually, that I have to ship out later today.
No kidding.
So they're popular. I shipped out a lot of them to Canada earlier. Also comes on.
We have listeners of this show in 13 other countries. At least that's the ones I've identified.
Well, I hope to be mailing them all cheese ornaments and cheese lights later today.
Well, not only that, Mrs. Scaffidi, as you know, my wife has, I think now 13 Christmas trees that will be going up, in less than a month or so. And she loves ornaments, so we'll have to make a stop there next time we're cruising around the town. All right, let's go to what I think is big news. The police union and the city reached a tentative labor agreement.
So we got this announcement. It was, I think, Monday. Days are already blending together, and it's only Thursday. But earlier Monday or Tuesday of this week, a real brief announcement came out from the mayor's office and the Milwaukee Police Association, which is the union for the rank and file police officers, biggest union for the police department. That their labor agreement had expired in 2022. Things had gotten real ugly in their negotiation. But despite being in arbitration, a winner-takes-all type scenario, high stakes, they voluntarily came to a new agreement. We don't have a lot of details there. We almost have no details other than it reflects some compromise, was the statement from the mayor's office.
Which is, correct me if I'm wrong, that's always the risk of arbitration. It's not really a compromise.
Yeah, the state statute actually governs arbitration for the police union and the city, and it allows a winner-take-all scenario. So you present 13% like the police union was, city presents a 9% increase, and the arbitrator can choose one or the other. The arbitrator is empowered to choose a middle ground proposal, but I'm told that doesn't usually happen.
Any commentary, because this covers like the last few years, now you have to start over again. Any commentary on how that process will begin and go forward?
Several of the things that befuddled this current process is that Act 12 was being negotiated. So the city didn't know what its financial picture would be, and the union and city jointly agreed to pause. So there was a delay in 2023. Then there was a delay. Unfortunately, the city's labor negotiator died from a longstanding illness. Then there was a delay in getting a new labor negotiator in place. And then an assistant city attorney that was also involved in the negotiations left. So I don't think when we look at the next agreement, it'll take that long. It seemed like those were all extenuating circumstances. What we also don't know is they could have agreed to an agreement that lasts through 2026 or 2027.
True, we don't know a lot of details.
Because the ironic thing is this agreement could expire at the end of 2025, which could be about the time the Common Council approves it. When it was announced, it had not been presented to either the Common Council or members of the Police Association, although I would assume their leadership, as a good pulse on what they want. But I got immediate feedback from one council member that they weren't thrilled by the nature of how this was dropped on them as a bomb.
Interesting. Future coverage, perhaps?
Absolutely.
All right. Jeremy Janine, UrbanMilwaukee.com, joining us for the full hour today. I'm going to read it just like you wrote it because I think this is a sort of a fascinating way to set this up. How a bridge project can be millions over budget and still saving the city money. We're talking about the Cherry Street Bridge.
So this is the kind of the last unrepaired bridge downtown. And the reason it was last is because not a lot of people use it. It used to have 3,000 some cars a day. If you're looking generally where it connects, the north end of the east side of downtown, so kind of by where Water Street starts around the curve there, to Schlitz Park and the Manpower headquarters. There's the Pleasant Street Bridge over there. There's the McKinley Street Bridge as well. But in between them, Cherry Street Bridge, 1940 bridge. It had been renovated in 1990, but needed a lot of work. The city initially got one quote for $15 million. They were ready to proceed with that. They weren't exactly happy because that's many millions more than earlier bridges had cost, but essentially the bill had come due. But then the bipartisan infrastructure law, for the first time in a long time, all of a sudden there was money available for local bridges that weren't designated state highways. So the city got in line and it got 80% of that $15 million that, things are now great for the city. But what happened after 2021 was steel prices soared, other costs soared. So now the bridge at $15 million is going to cost more in the ballpark of $23 million. So it's $8 million over budget, but the city got a $12 million-ish federal grant that it never expected. So despite spending way more than one would think was logical on a bridge, the city is saving $4 million.
Interesting you brought that up because somebody asked me about this, and maybe it's because of the way I was sort of approaching a conversation on the show a couple of weeks ago. They said to me, I'm not going to say who said it, this is someone who's connected to the city, that we don't do a good job telling folks out there in Radio Land and beyond that the city's actually really good at getting funding for projects like this one you just talked about. It sort of goes under the radar, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you talk about it, because there's a reason why we have people going after federal funds for these kinds of projects, because otherwise we're on the hook. Now, you could argue, as people do, and my conservative friends will remind me, well, someone's got to pay the bill wherever you're going, but this is an example of some pretty good work being done by local folks chasing down some of these federal funds to sort of supplement some of these projects.
Yes, that's Kevin Muse, who's the city engineer. We talked about him in the last segment. He came to the city from the Southeastern Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission. And one of the things that immediately struck me when he testifies before the Public Works Committee is he has an intimate knowledge of where all these different federal buckets of money are and how to line up city projects to go access that money. Because like this project, they went for it when they thought they had cost certainty. Because one of the things he detailed and that they've learned, and now there's another bridge project in the Menominee Valley, is when you apply for that federal funding, the amount you can get is locked in on that date. Right. So the city needs to be really precise in its estimating. And in this case, it learned it wasn't. This was largely before Kevin's time as well. But there's real levers you need to pull at the federal government, and you need to pull them at the exact right time.
Yeah, and I'll argue, if you say it's got to come out of somebody's pocket at some point, someone's getting that money. If it's already allocated, Congress has approved it, whatever the mechanism is, might as well be Milwaukee, because that offsets some of the costs that we may eventually have to pay. We'll take a quick break here. Jeremy Janine, UrbanMilwaukee.com. We got a lot of things. 794. Congressman Brian Stile weighing in on the free bus ride thing, which is interesting there. An update on summer violence, all that coming up in the next half hour, plus right here on 620 WTMJ.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix-It Show with David Nason, featuring this week's guest, Gadish Foundation. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. And at 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact Annex Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at annexwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ.
Hey, WTMJ, Steve Scaffidi from Milwaukee Weight Loss. You know I love talking about Milwaukee Weight Loss because, yes, I have lost the weight. Yes, I was on my trip. People go, yeah, you indeed have not only lost the weight, you've kept the weight off, and it wasn't easy. Trust me, I was in Sicily. I can't believe it myself. I started the journey in January. Back then, 45 pounds heavier, 45 pounds as of yesterday. I didn't weigh myself today. Less than I was when I started the year. Now I'm back in the reduction phase. I want to lose a little more weight before the end of the year, maybe 10 more pounds. But Milwaukee Weight Loss helped me do that. If you're frustrated like I was with all the trendy stuff, the shots and the Meals Bar Shakes, routine, there's a better way, and Milwaukee Weight Loss is that way. Doctor-developed, natural, helps thousands of people just like me and you lose up to 10 to 20% of their body weight in just 8 weeks. Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in just a month or two. Willpower, resetting your metabolism, great coaches. That's part of the success formula with Milwaukee Weight Loss. You want to stop the yo-yo stuff, get better, get smarter, be faster, and safer in your life and with your goals. Milwaukee Weight Loss, great team. Here's what you got to do. Schedule your free consultation. Yes, free. 262-393-2334. That's MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com.
I'm with James Imaging Systems client Preston Clark. He oversees IT services at Creative Business Interiors. Preston, you get the benefit of one-on-one relationships with the James team, like when your sales rep said something unexpected. What did they say?
Hey, this is a little high. You're not printing as much as we thought you were going to print.
Then the James team member had even better news.
Correct. Let's bring that down. Let's make it a little cheaper and still keep you on the same program.
The James Managed Print Services Program. All your document output devices bundled under one invoice that includes service and supplies for one low cost per print. Nice, right, Preston?
Yes, felt great. Felt secure, Don't have to worry about, again, somebody just coming in and selling something and then walking away and never hearing from them again.
James Imaging Systems, AI-driven workflow automation, security enhancements, and digital transformation. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com.
No matter how many people are in your family, buying new jackets for the cold weather months can be expensive. But when you shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores, prices on cold weather jackets will give you a sigh of relief because thrift store prices mean great deals. And right now we have a great selection. Find great deals on cold weather jackets for the family at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
A few minutes to go before we hit the bottom of the hour news for you kids. That's 11:30 in this hour. Jeremy Janine, great writer of all things local, Milwaukee, and UrbanMilwaukee.com is a great source for all your local news. This one has to do with 794. There's an update.
So we have this now years-long process to think about what is the future of 794, and that's between the Hone Bridge and the Marquette Interchange, so the east-west portion. Hone Bridge stays, Marquette Interchange stays. What happens between there is up in the air. We've talked about this, I think, multiple times, that there's a boulevard study up for evaluation. There's to replace it exactly as it is. And then there's an option to kind of it's called a slim main line, but to shrink the footprint of
That's sort of
roadway.
my favorite, is the slimmer version.
And that's a rational interest for you as someone who uses it every day. Minimal impact to you. And again, the justification for this project is the portion east of the Milwaukee River, between the Hone Bridge and the Milwaukee River, think Milwaukee Public Market. That's from the 1970s, and if you are underneath it and you look up, you can see crumbling concrete there and stalling. So it will need to be replaced in some form. But the big thing is there's 2 open houses, November 4th, November 5th. You can go to Urban Milwaukee to learn more about this, or the Wisconsin Department of Transportation website. The big new thing we're going to have for the first time, we've been waiting for this as anyone discussing this issue, is actual traffic data, and not just on the number of people going through it, because that's been known. There's 26,000 people that go end to end that never exit, and there's 72-some thousand cars. That includes people like Steve who get off in the middle of it or get on.
Right.
So Steve is 2 of those 72,000 for how that counts, if you're trying to understand that. But we're going to have traffic data impact on, okay, if you make it a boulevard, then what happens to the diverted traffic? What other local streets absorb that? Or if, and the slim down option, you're going to be removing some exits under that option. What does the State Department of Transportation think will happen to rerouted traffic?
And correct me if I'm wrong, but all of this would happen after the I-94 east-west.
That was an interesting thing. The layout, the timeline they have right now suggests it would kind of happen at the same time, that construction could start in 2030, which if you look at the 794 or the 94 project, the east leg of 94 is 2029 through 2033,
right, so
I think roughly. So they could overlap. Now, it's very possible that this project could continue to get delayed. It's already been delayed. There's a big dollar sign question coming at some point. And that especially is going to impact the boulevard option, because that might involve refunding some money to the federal government.
So anyone that's in the Milwaukee area, works in the Milwaukee area, comes down for all the fun stuff that we do in downtown, this is going to be a constant reality is there's going to be freeway construction for the next 10 years plus.
And that's just the reality of everything was built in the 60s
Yep.
and early 70s. It's now due to be replaced.
Yeah, so we'll have lots more to talk about with Jeremy. He's sticking around for the full hour, as he does every Thursday here on Point Taken on WTMJ. Just looking at some of the headlines here. I didn't even know this, but apparently the storm in August sunk a few boats.
Yes, quite a few of them.
We'll get to that story. And some other stories that are shaping the news here in Milwaukee. We have local news coming up with the great Julia Fellow in a moment or two. Don't forget, if you have any comments, always open, 855-616-1620, the Siding Unlimited talk and text line. Here now, the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. The NBA says Miami Heat player Terry Rozier and Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups are being placed on immediate leave. They were arrested as part of a nationwide illegal gambling sting. Prosecutors say Billups worked to attract players to a mafia-backed poker games where those players were then cheated.
The defendants used a variety of very sophisticated cheating technologies, some of which were provided by other defendants.
That's U.S. Attorney Joseph Nocella. President Trump pardoned the founder of Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange. Changpeng Zhao, known as CZ, served prison time for failing to stop criminals from using the platform. He had asked for a pardon and has ties to the Trump family's crypto venture. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says he opposes a bill that would pay federal workers during the government shutdown because the only solution is to reopen the government. An average 30-year mortgage rates at their lowest level in more than a year, 6.19%. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:31. I'm Julia Fellow. Your top story: a tentative voluntary agreement has been reached between the Milwaukee Police Association and City of Milwaukee regarding the outstanding labor agreement. The next step: approval from the Milwaukee Common Council and Milwaukee Police Association.
We would not be striking a deal or trying to settle something if it wasn't a good deal for our members.
While terms of the agreement have not been disclosed, MPA President Alex Ayala believes the agreement is a win for the MPD.
This is something that I think is going to settle all these disputes that we have with the city. If it wasn't a good enough offer, we would not bring it to them.
Officers have been operating without an updated contract or pay raise since the last contract expired in 2022. Greg Matzik, WTMJ News.
AYA believes the new deal will go a long way in reducing the officer shortfall in Milwaukee and increase recruitment. 22 people arrested by members of the FBI in a joint operation with law enforcement agencies in southeast Wisconsin. The FBI Milwaukee office says the multi-year investigation targeted street gangs that operated in Racine and Milwaukee with ties to what agents say is an international cartel. The investigation has led to the seizure of cocaine, fentanyl, marijuana, and many methamphetamines. 23 firearms and 22 suspects were arrested and face federal charges. A daycare worker in Fond du Lac accused of child abuse. Investigators say a 3-month-old girl had a fractured arm when she was picked up from Lily Pad Daycare October 13th. Police then arrested 32-year-old Ashley Karsnick after viewing surveillance footage that we're told was very disturbing. We're hoping to get that video. Charges have not yet been filed. Time for news about your money and your WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything in the green. Dow up 98 at 46,689. S&P 500 up 32. NASDAQ up 176. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Let's take a look at your roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. 4394 north, a half mile beyond Howard Avenue. The left shoulder is still blocked. I see 3 cars involved in a crash. Big slowdowns. Everything else looks normal. Your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Tonight, clearing skies. Widespread frost freeze warning goes into effect at 2 o'clock tomorrow morning for all of southeast Wisconsin. 35-year low by the lake. 29-year low inland. Yuck. Friday, mostly sunny. That's the bright spot, a high of 52. Partly cloudy Saturday, a high of 55. Sunday, partly cloudy, a high of 56. Then for your Monday, a slight chance of showers. Mostly cloudy, though, throughout that day, a high of 56. Right now in Madison, it's mostly sunny, 44 degrees. Green Bay, partly sunny at 45. And in Milwaukee, partly sunny at 43 degrees. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:34.
Welcome back to Ask Hasslis. I'm Weston. What's your question?
What makes Hasslett's mattress different?
Aside from employee-free showrooms, free next-day delivery and haul-away, and way too low prices on Beautyrest, Sealy Posturepedic, and Serta Perfect Sleeper?
Yeah, besides that.
Well, Hasslett's is locally owned.
You mean your franchise is locally owned?
We're not a franchise. Every showroom is owned and managed by the same family. So, when you shop at Hasslett's, your money stays right here. And through Monday, our family wants to give you a $248 credit towards a new Beautyrest, Sealy Posturepedic, and Serta Perfect Sleeper just for shopping local.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Our 43 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393.
I like that.
Try and buy with no pushy sales guy.
I love that.
Free next day delivery too.
Thanks.
For what?
For being different.
Shop local and enjoy a $248 credit through Monday at Hasslett's Mattress. Open 9 to 9. Find a no-hassle, employee-free showroom near you at hasslett's.com.
Our children deserve a real chance to make it in life, and a good education is a passport to opportunity. At City Ford Collective, we're working to make sure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family, because more good options lead to better outcomes. And who doesn't want that? Together, we can give every child the foundation they need to thrive, and a stronger future for kids means a stronger future for Milwaukee. To learn more about our mission, visit us at cityfordcollective.org. That's cityfordcollective.org.
Loyalty, family. Few things are more important. This is WTMJ's Steve Scaffidi and Loyal Family Renovations. They saved the day after a brutal storm in Oak Creek. Hail damage, yeah, I had a lot of it. But Jeff, Jake, and the whole team, absolute pros, made the entire process smooth as can be. Let's be honest, not everyone knows how to deal with adjusters. They handled all the questions, quick answers, top-notch customer service in just 2 days. My roof was done. If storm damage hits, call the team that made it easy for me. Loyal Family Renovations. Visit loyalfamilyrenovations.com. Last time I checked, this is The Doors on 620 WTN. We probably don't play The Doors that often, I would guess. Not the 70s, or it's not the 60s and 70s around here. I was going to say something, and I just edited it myself because I was going to go after somebody. I'm going to be the nice guy. Jeremy and Janine joining us in studio from urbanmilwaukee.com. Folks, you can find their great works there. And they can subscribe?
Yeah, absolutely. They can become members for $9 a month or $99 a year. That gets you access to all of our paywalled articles, as well as a lot of exclusive bulletins, short takes on the news.
Yeah, and it's honestly, God, a great source for all the stories that we talk about on these Thursday editions, because it's like everything from, reckless driving, as we started, to, the infrastructure costs of the city, and now another one that we're going to talk about in relation to the city of Milwaukee.
The streetcar.
Yes.
That cannot be debated enough on Point Taken.
Well, we spent a lot of time on that. I think it was yesterday, the day before. My goodness. Always a hot button topic. Well, one of the aldermen, Mr. Spiker, I believe.
Yes, Scott Spiker, South Side alderman, been in office since 2019, so he's never really had to vote on the streetcar in terms of building it, but he's now trying to vote on defunding it.
His quotes are sort of amazing, the way he looks at this project.
Scott Spiker is a very philosophical person. I believe he's married to a philosophy professor even. He will tell you he has a grad degree from an Ivy League school. He calls the streetcar good money after bad. You have a loop that goes 2 miles and no prospect for expanding it. And the reason, what his quote is no prospect for expanding it, is because Act 12, the sales tax law, kind of took out at the knees the city a lot of their ways they could go about expanding TIF districts, other property tax funding mechanisms. This Department of Public Works claim is, that could all be reversed. And in fact, going back about a decade ago when there was a initial push for the system, that some of that was reversed. That was from the 1990s. So the state has a history of going both directions on this topic. But Scott Spiker's central argument is the streetcar costs the city $4 million a year. Well, it really costs $7 million, but there's $3 million in revenue that comes in.
Right.
There's a $4 million cost that the city has to pay at the end of the year. And what I find interesting is he calls it largely a device for transporting the unhoused and the well-heeled.
That's the one that caught my eye.
Immediately after the budget was presented, he called it a device for transporting the unhoused. So now it is a thing both for rich people and poor people, which I find an interesting argument against something.
So Kristen was making the point, I don't know if it was on the show or away from the show, that actually ridership recently is up.
Buried at the end of my article, and I have the article is called "One Alderman's Quest to Defund the Streetcar," and why I call it one alderman is because it was pretty clear his colleagues don't support him at this point, and we'll get to why. But in August and September, those are obviously the most recent months we have ridership data for. Since the pandemic, it recorded its highest year-over-year totals in that month. So it was the best August since 2020 and the best September since 2020.
Why do we think that's the case?
I just think people are figuring out how they can use it in their life would be my assumption that, oh, I work downtown in the 3rd Ward. I don't want to pay to park. I just park on the Lower East Side and take the hop in. They figure out how they can use it to festivals. The other key thing and why the cost has gone up is the lakefront line is now operating, which connects you to festivals. Obviously not a lot of festivals in September, but it's still some utility. I live in the Couture and can take it to wherever else downtown.
Now, Alderman Spiker and Texter Peter point out the fact that you can't just shut it down because there's some clawbacks that are a big chunk of money that Milwaukee would have to pay back.
Yeah, so in Spiker's world, his idea is that you could cancel the streetcar and you don't have to pay the FTA, the Federal Transit Administration, back because Donald Trump and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy don't like streetcars, so they'll just forgive the approximately $48 million that's owed. That isn't the consensus of everyone else at City Hall, it would seem. That, no, they're going to ask for that money back. Now, there is the argument, yeah, you could then give that money back, and instead of paying $4 million a year to operate it, you're just paying off the debt, and eventually you're out from under it if you think it's a bad idea. The argument from Gerald Kruschke, the Commissioner of Public Works, is if you cancel that contract, if you cancel on that debt obligation, that you're going to wear the scarlet letter, and you're not going to get the federal funding that we talked about for other programs. Right. The feds are going to look skeptically upon you, and so there's going to be a hidden cost to it.
Tom from New Berlin on the text line, the Siding Unlimited talking text line, reminds me about my great idea to have like a fun element to the streetcar and the hop. Maybe alcohol. You could have sort of a tour of Milwaukee, at least the area that the hop serves. Is there any legs to that, you think?
Well, I've conducted some research in the evening once or twice where I've used it to host a bar crawl with my friends.
Oh, there you go.
And unfortunately, there's not a ton of bars that are like directly on the route. So
that's the problem.
There is a lot of bars near, but they're kind of clustered. So trying to design a bar crawl, it's fairly easy if you live at some part of the route. But
I love the fact that you did your homework on that and actually put yourself in other people's shoes.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Well done, sir. He is Jeremy Janine, urbanwalkie.com. We've got a few more moments of the program today. We haven't got to the case of the missing boats.
There's certainly missing boats. And one thing we should touch on before we tease more about the boats and how many might have sunk during the storm is that there is a frustration on the council about the fare box thing. There's a logical argument that if you want to pay to collect fares, you're not going to collect that much. You're going to end up in a wash. Mullally Coggs is now making a push that, well, you could do something simple that doesn't involve staffing to collect fares. Yeah. And I think you're going to see more of a push in the streetcar to do that.
Think outside the box, or in this case, think outside the hop. All right, after the break, more Jeremy Janine, urbanwalkie.com, as we can find his great work. We'll get to that after this on 620 WTMJ.
Start your weekend tonight with a free dinner at the historic Fox and Hounds Supper Club. WTMJ's John Mercure here. The Fox and Hounds is a Wisconsin treasure. With the fall colors here, the drive through the Kettle Moraine Forest to the Fox and Hounds is a must-see. So is that patio in the woods. You got to check it out. It's gorgeous. Savor a smothered sirloin steak, beef short ribs, seafood, the pecan-crusted salmon, even steak and lobster, and your second dinner is free. Desserts and those famous ice cream drinks, free too. I love the chocolate cake. Unwind with an old-fashioned, bourbon, Manhattan. Choose from 100 wines on a brand-new wine list as you dine in one of those gorgeous 8 dining rooms. It's the best dining value anywhere, as your second dinner is free. The Fox and Hounds, just off Highway 167, 2 miles east of Holy Hill. Wherever you live, it's worth the drive to see the breathtaking fall colors of the Kettle Moraine. I recommend the Friday all-you-care-to-eat fish fry. It is one of the best. Go out for a free dinner tonight. Tables are open. foxandhoundsrestaurant.com.
Does your bathroom belong in a haunted house? Or maybe it's just time for a refresh. WTMJ and Sidex are back with the Beautiful Bathroom Contest. One lucky listener will win a tub or shower conversion valued up to $10,000. It's easy. Snap a pic of your scary shower, terrifying tub, or even just one you're tired of. And enter now at WTMJ.com. Sidex makes it easy to go from fright to fabulous.
Politics, work, daily stressors. Let's take a break from all that and get centered, Christ-centered. I'm Pastor Tim Butker. Join me each week for Christian Crusaders, a broadcast that highlights the gospel, the good news of Jesus, and our belief in the authoritative Word of God. Christ-centered, gospel-oriented, Bible-based Christian crusaders. Please join us Sundays at 6 a.m. on WTMJ. We'd love to have you worship with us.
Spas. The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show is this weekend only inside the Exposition Center at Wisconsin State Fair Park. Millions of inventory must be sold. Prices are slashed up to 60% off retail, so save thousands. Save big on new hot tubs, spas, and saunas, also cold tubs. Plus, see the Michael Phelps Signature Swim Spas by Master Spas.
Hi, I'm Michael Phelps. Join the swimming revolution.
The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show this weekend only inside the Exposition Center at Wisconsin State Fair Park. Visit 1-800-SPASale.com.
This message reaches 1 million people or more every week. Spreading the gospel is more than one voice speaking to 1 million. It is and must continue to be 1 million voices, each speaking to one, pointing them to our friend Jesus.
The Lutheran Hour with Dr. Michael Ziegler.
The Lutheran Hour, Sunday mornings at 6:30 on WTMJ.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368.
At Wisconsin's own Accunet Mortgage, our closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 less than the banks or the mortgage guys with the Rocket for exactly the same rate. Find out how much you can save at accunet.com.
Jerry Janine joins us every Thursday on Point Taken. Kristen is off today if you're asking about where she is. She'll be back tomorrow getting some R&R. She works hard. She's a very, very hard-working partner on this show, and frankly, she does more homework than I do. So she'll be back tomorrow with Bill and Joe on our regular Friday show. And don't forget Tom Tiffany, candidate for governor and Wisconsin congressman, will join us at 11:35. I forgot where we were going next. Oh, the case of the missing boat.
This was interesting. So one of the weird things I do is I go to every Harbor Commission meeting, and I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but there's always stories coming out of it. So other reporters hopefully aren't listening right now. And that was, we all saw the devastation from the August 9th and 10th 1,000-year storm. And a lot of what we saw from aerial images of like downtown waterways was boats that were loose, just kind of floating down river.
It's a bad storm.
Absolutely. And in many ways, people are still cleaning up. And if we just got a press release from FEMA yesterday, like you might need to follow up with them. So if you're waiting on a FEMA claim, make sure you're in good standing with FEMA. Continue to be in contact with them. But one of the interesting things that happened was 9 boats sank. And I mean, that's somewhat obvious. Water levels surge, boats get released from the docks that they're tied up to. But one was out there for weeks, and no one even really knew it was there until the U.S. Corps of Army Engineers did what's called side sonar, where they just kind of went around the waterways with their little beep and, oh, there's a boat here. And they were ready to pull it up. They didn't know what this boat was. It wasn't an insignificant boat, 28 feet long. But they went to Port Milwaukee and said, hey, do you know who this boat is? And they're like, no. And the Army Corps of Engineers like, okay, well, it's sort of in the navigational channel. It was in the Kinnickinnick River by where the swing bridge is. So there's a swing bridge in the 3rd Ward. Mm-hmm. There's another one in the Kinnickinnick River. Essentially, if you took, I think it's Lapham Street, if you could just keep going straight into the water right there. You can see it from the Kinnickinnick Avenue Bridge over the river. It was right there. It was in the navigational channel. There was maybe going to be a future challenge with boats. But the port harbor master, Eric Polzin, said, well, give me a little time. And he called Jerry Geyer. And Jerry Geyer is kind of the character of the waterways of Milwaukee, but also just kind of the guy that's plugged in that knows what's going on. And Jerry goes, well, I know Horny Goat Marina lost 3 boats, and I know they've only found 2.
There you go.
So I think I probably know what this boat is. And so the owners ended up paying. I don't know who the owners are. They ended up paying to have it pulled up instead of taxpayers having to pay through the Army Corps of Engineers. But the interesting thing to me is the owners never knew their boat was missing.
Yeah, what's that about?
And Eric Polzin said it's very common for boaters to see their boat when it's put in the water in the spring and to see it when it's pulled out in the fall.
I suppose, yeah.
And they just never go back to their boat again. So if you're still missing a boat, or if you haven't seen your boat in a long time, it's probably not on the bottom of the river because the Army Corps of Engineers has gone searching. But if you have a boat, go use it more often and invite Steve and I to come out on the water with you.
There you go. I thought about this while you were talking about that. It's not just about boats. When you have big storms and high water events, it impacts the navigation channels. And I assume that this work is going to be ongoing for a while just to make sure the waterways are clean and clear. So that work continues as all part of the same response.
And that was another thing they detailed at the port is normally there's the Leonard skimmer, which is an MMSD thing. It's a fun name
I've
for
seen
this
it, yeah.
essentially souped up pontoon boat that goes around scooping stuff out of the water.
Which is a good thing.
And the port pressed one of its vessels into service to help out, and they did 96 hours of cleanup. So that's 96 hours of vessel time because there's 4 people on the vessel. They said it's actually 400 hours of staff time. FEMA is not going to reimburse the city for that because it's a service I guess the port would normally provide. But they were pulling out basically entire tree trunks, and they had photos of this just absolutely massive stuff that was floating down the river. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge that also 5 people on the Kinnickinnic River are believed to have been swept downstream.
Yeah.
And all have lost their lives.
Yeah, which was underreported at the time of the storm. Obviously, a lot was going on. Last segment with Jeremy coming up. Jeremy and Janine, UrbanMilwaukee.com. I'm going to throw a curveball at you. I'm just curious what you think. We'll do that after the break on 620 WTMJ.
Hey, it's WTMJ's Kristen Bry, and if you're on the market for a new dentist, you should check out my dentist, Dr. James Michaels at Economowoc Dental Care. Dr. Michaels is committed to providing you with the highest level of care possible. I can assure you that he will prioritize your needs no matter how sensitive, just like he did with mine. So whether you need a simple cleaning, an exam, teeth whitening, or a more complex dental procedure, Economowoc Dental will always make you feel as comfortable as possible while still giving you and your family an amazing smile. And it doesn't have to break the bank. Dr. Michael's fantastic staff can set you up with a no-interest payment plan. We all have to go to the dentist, so do not put it off any longer. Call and make an appointment today with my dentist, Dr. James Michaels at Economowoc Dental Care.
Homer for Window Nation. It's October, and if you've got old windows, that means you're back to dealing with chilly air seeping into your home. Eliminate annoying drafts once and for all with Window Nation in Milwaukee. This month, buy 2 windows, get 2 for free, plus pay nothing for 2 years. With the holidays coming up, it's a big deal, and they can do it so quickly. Don't miss out on free windows and 0 payments for 2 years with Window Nation, proud partner of the Milwaukee Brewers. Visit windownation.com before October 31st to get started.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
After a serious accident, you'll need a winning team to protect your rights. Trust Wisconsin's own Gruber Law Offices, proud partner of your Milwaukee Bucks. If you've been injured, call Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Tune in to Wisconsin's Midday News with Greg Matzik and Jessica Ty.
I asked him what a town hall like this can actually accomplish, what it can do in 2025 in such a divided political climate.
Bringing you the latest in news, sports, traffic, and weather.
And I'm digging the opportunity to see the leaves actually stay on the trees because they change colors, and all of a sudden it's like poof, then it was gone in an instant.
I hear you on that.
Every weekday from noon until 3 p.m. Only on WTMJ. WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Boy, that show went fast today. We got a couple more minutes with Jeremy Janine, UrbanMilwaukee.com. Where can folks find your great work, and what can they find? What can they do?
So, UrbanMilwaukee.com, all kinds of news about all things Milwaukee, and then UrbanMilwaukeeTheStore.com if you want Milwaukee or Wisconsin gifts.
Yes, including ornaments. And last time I checked, Christmas is coming up pretty soon. And Hanukkah.
Yep, it'll be here before we know it.
All right, so I drive the Hone almost every day, and I see when I'm driving north into downtown, I see to my right, we have the area that was filled up with all the soil and sludge and all that stuff that was done years ago. And then next to it, they've created another area apparently for that same use, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if the one done, and then why aren't we utilizing that space for something?
So these are called material management facilities, and what they are is essentially a way to avoid trucking stuff to landfill. You essentially build a new landfill. You build this wall, and you essentially build two walls, fill it in between. I just had the opportunity to tour the new one a couple weeks ago. So the existing one it's not full, but it's spoken for. So they've allocated X amount of acres or yards of fill to, I think it's We Energies has maybe the remaining dibs on it.
Okay.
And that will be filled. So if you look in the north end of the current one, there's kind of the swampy, marshy area that's lower.
Yeah.
That will eventually be filled in with a little bit more, so it'll all be level. And if you're curious what we're talking about, look up the Lake Express Ferry.
Yeah.
That's built on this. It's the only thing built on it right now. And that's the existing one from the 1970s. There's now a new one being constructed to the north. The wall it's now sealed on the outside, so the water on the inside of it.
So did you get to go out there?
I got to go right next to it. I walked on the old one to get right up next to the new one.
The scale of these things is immense.
Oh, I don't have the number in front of me right now, but it's absolutely insane how much it can hold. They won't drain the water out of the new one because that would create a pressure situation where
it would impact the walls.
Yeah. And so what will happen is as they pour new stuff in the next couple of years, which will come from dredged sediment all over the Milwaukee waterways, will get poured into there by this big tube, and the water will eventually just be pumped out.
So the one that's done, you said We Energies has a claim on it?
It's We Energies, the Army Corps of Engineers, someone has reserved yardage to fill it up.
But they can't really put anything on it?
Sort of. It settles, just like similar to a landfill. I went to a high school that was built on an old landfill. It settles over time very slowly. And so you see the Lake Express Ferry is a fairly insubstantial building on it. The actual cruise dock that's being built right now, the South Shore Cruise Dock, is going east of the Lake Express Ferry Terminal.
That's the one people ask me about all the time. Where's that one? That's the one, if you've seen a Viking cruise ship in the river, that's the one that's going to be out on the lake.
Yeah, so currently the biggest cruise ships, they can't use Pier Wisconsin by Discovery World. They have to use the ugly Inner Harbor industrial dock, building a nice cruise ship dock. That'll open in June of next year. The city is projecting a record cruise season. Part of that will be more use of that South Shore Cruise facility. But there's also, in 2021, I believe was the year, the city issued an RFQ, request for qualifications, for ideas to use that land near the cruise dock and the Lake Express Ferry. It didn't draw any bids at that time, not because the land wasn't usable, but because it was really unclear what the cruise dock was. Now the city hopes to reissue that at some point to get some entertainment or other public uses out there, along with a park right out on the lakefront next to the cruise dock.
Love it. Let's make use of that lakefront acreage. All right, Jerry Magini, we'll do it next Thursday. Thanks as always. Great stuff today. All right, news is next. 620 WTMJ. Kristen's back tomorrow.
There's a lot of noise coming out of Washington these days, but one thing retirees in Wisconsin can't afford to ignore is the new Big Beautiful Bill. Sounds harmless, right? But here's the truth. The changes buried in this bill could have a serious impact on your retirement. At Drake & Associates, we've dug into the details, and we want to make sure you know what's really at stake. The Big Beautiful Bill includes sweeping updates to tax brackets,